June 4, 1942. The sun rises over the Pacific near Midway Atoll. The largest naval battle in history is about to unfold. Admiral Yamamoto's combined fleet approaches with 4 aircraft carriers and over 160 ships, ready to crush the American Pacific Fleet once and for all. But today, something impossible cuts through the waves toward Midway Atoll. Instead of 4 aircraft carriers bristling with veteran pilots, a single warship that shouldn't exist for another 80 years approaches. Meet the U.S Maya, a Japanese maritime self-defense force Aegis destroyer from 2025. So could one modern Japanese destroyer change the course of World War II? Or would it be overwhelmed by the massive American fleet? Remember, this is just a what-if scenario I came up with at 2 a.m., so it's not perfect. The U.S Maya is a 10,000 tons of pure technological dominance armed with weapons that can delete entire air wings from existence and radar systems that see beyond the horizon. Its SPY-1D radar can track hundreds of targets simultaneously, while its Aegis combat system processes threats faster than human thought. We're talking about 90 vertical launch cells packed with SM-2 and SM-6 surface-to-air missiles that can swat aircraft from the sky at ranges exceeding 100 miles. These aren't the crude rockets of the 1940s. They're precision-guided weapons with terminal guidance systems and warheads designed to penetrate modern armor. Its 127mm main gun fires precision rounds guided by GPS satellites that won't exist for decades. And perhaps most terrifyingly, this destroyer moves at 30 knots while making less noise than a fishing boat, invisible to 1942 sonar and radar systems that are still in their early stage. A Maya-class Aegis destroyer costs roughly $1.5 to $1.6 billion, similar to a UK Type 45, but still cheaper than a modern US Flight 3 Arleigh Burke at about $2.3 to $2.4 billion. In other words, the Maya sits in the upper tier of destroyer costs. At 6 a.m., the first American reconnaissance flights lift off from Enterprise and Hornet. They're searching for the Japanese fleet, flying standard search patterns developed over months of Pacific warfare. What they don't expect is a single contact 200 miles northwest of their position, moving at impossible speed with no visible escorts. The Maya's radar paints the American scout planes like neon signs in the darkness. The ship's combat system identifies them as SBD Dauntless dive bombers and TBF Avenger torpedo planes. Ancient aircraft by 2025 standards, but in 1942, they represent America's cutting-edge naval aviation. The destroyer's crew faces an impossible decision: engage and reveal their position, or maintain stealth and let the scouts report back. They choose engagement. SM-6 missiles streak skyward at Mach 3.5. Their guidance systems locked onto targets that have no idea they're about to become history's most one-sided air battle. The first Dauntless simply vanishes in a fireball, then another. The remaining scouts break formation, diving for deck level while frantically radioing contact reports that make no sense to anyone listening. Back on Enterprise, Admiral Spruance receives fragmentary reports of aircraft disappearing without explanation. Some pilots report explosions in clear sky. Others describe a single large ship moving at impossible speed. The reports sound like combat fatigue or equipment failure, but when exactly 0 of the missing scouts return to their carriers, the situation becomes very real very quickly. The American response is massive and immediate. Every available aircraft launches from Enterprise, Hornet, and Yorktown. 96 dive bombers, torpedo planes, and fighters racing toward a single contact that defies everything they know about naval warfare. They're flying into the most advanced anti-aircraft system ever deployed, but they have no way of knowing it. The U.S Maya's radar tracks the incoming strike like a video game. The destroyer's automated systems calculate intercept courses, missile flight times, and engagement priorities faster than any human could process. Then, the first wave comes within range. The ship unleashes technological hell. SM-2 and SM-6 missiles launch in rapid succession, each one guided by radar beams more precise than anything 1942 can imagine. American Wildcats disintegrate like paper airplanes in a hurricane. Dauntless dive bombers loaded with 1,000-pound bombs become fireballs before they even know they're under attack. The psychological effect on the surviving pilots is devastating. But the Maya destroyer has a problem. It carries 90 missiles total, and after destroying most of the American airstrike, its magazines run dangerously low. More critically, the ship is fighting in 1942 without GPS satellites to guide its weapons or data links to coordinate with non-existent allies. The crew must rely entirely on their onboard sensors and pray nothing breaks too soon. The American fleet adapts with the desperate creativity that won them the war. Spruance orders his remaining aircraft to attack in coordinated waves from multiple directions, stretching the destroyer's engagement envelope beyond its limits. Some planes get through, dropping bombs and torpedoes that splash harmlessly around the Japanese's ship-armored hull. But the psychological impact on both sides is profound. The Japanese destroyer responds by going on the offensive. Its Type 90 anti-ship missiles don't need direct line of sight. They can fly 100 miles, navigate around obstacles using inertial guidance, and arrive exactly where they're least welcome. The ship launches a salvo toward the American carrier's last known positions. Enterprise's lookouts spot what appears to be a small, fast aircraft approaching at wavetop height. Too late. The missile's 500-pound warhead detonates against the carrier's flight deck, punching through steel plating and igniting aviation fuel stores. Within minutes, the ship that launched the Doolittle raid is fighting for survival. Hornet suffers similar damage. Each hit is devastating and precise. American damage control parties work frantically, but they're fighting fires caused by weapons that shouldn't exist. The destroyer's tactical picture shows American forces scattered and disorganized. 3 carriers heavily damaged, escorts sinking or fleeing. Time for the final phase. The ship closes to 30 miles and launches its remaining long-range missiles simultaneously. Every major American unit takes hits. Enterprise suffers additional strikes that flood the hangar decks. Hornet's engine rooms explode from below waterline impacts. Even damaged Yorktown takes fatal hits. When the smoke clears over the Central Pacific, the Battle of Midway has become the most lopsided naval victory in alternate history. 3 American aircraft carriers sink beneath the Pacific waves. Escorting cruisers and destroyers either burn or flee eastward. The U.S. Pacific Fleet's offensive capability is crippled in a single morning. The mysterious Japanese warship vanishes as suddenly as it appeared, leaving behind only wreckage and impossible stories. The Maya-class destroyer would be remembered as the ghost of Midway. American survivors describe weapons beyond comprehension, missiles that struck without warning from invisible launchers. A vessel that compressed America's learning curve from years into hours through pure technological superiority. Japanese naval headquarters receives fragmentary reports that make no sense. References to a lone destroyer engaging American carriers successfully. But questions remain. Could the destroyer's limited ammunition truly defeat such overwhelming numbers? Would American submarines eventually locate and sink the Phantom vessel? The answers depend on factors we can only speculate about. Technology gaps, tactical adaptation, and the fog of war all play crucial roles.